We've so far talked of the past and the present, but what are the possibilities of the future? It seems almost certain that if other beings more advanced than ourselves do inhabit other sectors of the universe, then it's quite probable there will come that day, that moment in time, when official contact will be made. Let's look at an incident that might happen in the future, or perhaps could have happened already. How would the public react if this event were true?
He was hired by the military to back engineer the propulsion system of an extraterrestrial craft.
I was hired to replace one of a couple people that were killed while working on one of the reactors from one of the crafts. Apparently they, for whatever reason, cut open an operating reactor and the device exploded, killing both of them. Essentially what they were doing was just giving me an overview of the other aspects of the research being done on the craft, and the bulk of the information, all the technical information, was specifically dealing with the power and propulsion system, which is what I was supposed to be working on. But there were documents basically stating that these were aliens that possessed the craft. There were some autopsy reports that, not very in-depth, they had no reason to give me in-depth reports on that, but they did have pictures and two pictures actually of the alien carcass with the chest cut open and a single organ removed, and the organ itself was sectioned. It seemed to, from my non-medical viewpoint, it seemed that this one organ performed many functions instead of one. There were documents on metallurgical work being done on the craft, and really every aspect that the different groups were working on. And I'm sure they got a briefing on what my group was working on, a very abbreviated one, as I did on theirs. There was mention of alien intervention in the past. I mean, extremely long ago. Something along the lines of millions of years ago. They did make reference to contact with the Earth over 10,000 years ago. Also with genetic alterations that ended in a simian being, and all kinds of claims. I approached things at a very different viewpoint. They might have been frustrated after a long time of walking down the same path and not getting anywhere, and they wanted someone essentially to come out of left field and approach it from a different angle, a different viewpoint, and I'm kind of known for that.
Physics of the impossible, a scientific exploration of the world of phasers, force fields, teleportation, and time travel. Hawking says it's likely that alien life exists, and that a visit from extraterrestrials might be similar to Columbus's arrival in the Americas. In other words, didn't turn out too well for Native Americans.
We just might not be scientific and technically sophisticated to the extent that's necessary in order to recognize what is the real evidence in this, in what we have collected.
I think we should also think of other possible hypotheses. Suppose there are such things as interlocking universes, where forms of matter which don't mesh with ours except under strange conditions.
To assume that we are on the level of intelligence that would of necessity be visiting us if they have the ability to come here, there may be no common bridge of understanding. There may be attempts at communication and we don't recognize it as communication.
We must always be aware of the fact that we may be testing the wrong hypothesis. As for instance, in the days when people talked about stones falling from heaven, that was testing the wrong hypothesis. Meteorites do exist, the phenomenon exists, but they're not stones that fall from heaven. They're stones that the Earth collides with when they're in orbit around the Sun. It's arrogant, egocentric, egotistical for us to think that we are the highest intelligences in the universe. I think that's completely preposterous.
As far as the extraterrestrial intelligence is concerned, I believe it's out there.
We have not been able to come up with a logical explanation. At least our scientists have not. The only plausible explanation that would explain all of these sightings is the theory that these could be intelligently controlled vehicles controlled by an alien species, alien to this planet.
Who the visitors are, where they're from, and what they want is unknown.
Many people already have strong beliefs about the existence or non-existence of extraterrestrial beings and are committed to these beliefs. Dr. Walser tells us that if these extraterrestrial beings were advanced beyond us, we would probably gain technological information from them. But nevertheless, certain behavior can be predicted.